Hey there, you. Yes, I mean you. Have you just finished watching an episode of your favorite television program, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Are you looking for a podcast to enhance your viewing experience? Well, look no further. Welcome to Perfectly Marvelous. Join our hosts Erica, Kara, and Jade as they provide you with hours of witty banter, behind-the-scenes fun facts, and oh, so much more. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for a perfectly marvelous time. Good evening, folks. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jade.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Erica.
And this is Perfectly Marvelous, a podcast dedicated to the best darn show that ever showed in the world, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Today, we are super excited to be talking with Matilda Szydagis. Did I do it right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah!
Nailed it.
Yay! who plays the wonderful Zelda on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yay! Welcome, Matilda. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Good. Thank you. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
We're so excited.
Thrilled. So excited. Okay, guys, before we start, we're going to tell you a little bit about Matilda and her incredible career thus far.
Yes, so Matilda was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Her family immigrated from Poland, and Polish is actually Matilda's first language. She graduated from the University of Chicago and moved to New York, where she attended AMDA, which is the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. She took commercial art classes at Weiss Barron and TVI Studios, and studied with the highly esteemed acting teacher and coach, Joanna Bexon.
Of course, all of you lovely listeners know Matilda as Zelda, but she won a SAG Award with the rest of her fellow Maisel cast members for Outstanding Ensemble for Comedy Series. Who else is surprised? Nobody. No surprise for that one.
Shocking no
All the awards.
Yeah. Yeah. She also played Yarina on The Sopranos, which we love. Matilda has produced, directed, and starred in a trilogy of short films that are now available on Amazon Prime Video, which we highly recommend. I know each of us has watched at least one or two so far, and I was all in and rented all three. So definitely recommend that. And you guys, she also has a children's book out now that she wrote and illustrated called All Cats Speaks Polish. And Erica actually has a copy.
I have my copy.
No. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for getting one.
I love it.
It's so sweet.
It's
I so appreciate that.
adorable. It's going to be a gift for my brand new baby niece coming in August. So you guys should definitely check that out.
Yes, my mama just ordered one because my stepsister just had a baby. So it's one of the baby's first books, you know.
And my children love it. Their grandparents are Lebanese, so we love to introduce different languages. And my husband was even reading it because his aunt's Polish, and he appreciated the phonetic spelling. So we really enjoyed it. And we're also
Oh, thank you.
And we're a cat family, so we enjoyed it.
Yeah, cat family. And if just for a second, I can gush about Matilda's incredible short films. So it's The Huzak, The Ruins, and The Dam. Those are the three films. And guys, listeners, it's like, they're 10 minutes each, right? I think the Dam is even less than 10 minutes. They're freaking incredible. The way that I would describe these films is it's like existentialist psychological horror. And they have this very...
The best kind.
The best kind of horror, right? They have this very noirish feel. And I was saying, like, it's kind of reminiscent of... It's like John Carpenter meets Hitchcock, right? It's like a cross between the two. And the thing that I took away after watching these films is that the scariest thing in our lives that we could possibly encounter is what's inside of our own fucked up minds and like the trauma that we all go through, some people greater than others, right? It's like the most unsettling thing. It's like the scariest thing of all, you know? These films they're excellent. I love...
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Matilda, I love the way that you are delivering a message with your entertainment to your audience.
Definitely.
I don't know. Yeah, speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. Like we felt like they were existential is a great word to use. And they're definitely more like psychological thrillers. And we were inspired by the 70s and 80s horror movies.
Right on.
We're big fans. I mean, that's what we grew up with too.
Right.
So there's definitely some, shout outs, especially in the Husak for The Shining, for example.
Yes. Oh my God.
And
so
I was getting goosebumps because I'm such a fan of like classic horror, Oh.
Yeah, I love horror. I've always loved horror. And in the Dam, there's like a, little tiny call out to Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so.
Right.
Yeah,
But,
no, it's not.
had,
but these films are not like trying too hard. They're so subtle.
Oh no, they're very subtle. Very
subtle.
Yeah, very, very
and
subtle,
very few. I just love the way that you're very minimalist with your dialogue. It's all about the gorgeous visuals. I mean,
thank you.
I could go on and on. We seriously need to dedicate like an entire other podcast just to talking about these films if you're down, because it deserves.
Well, that was
it.
something. There's that's something else too. Like a lot of the movies from the 70s, the horror movies actually do that. There's a lot of silence, a lot of moments of silence, and it's about the tense moments and the silence where you just like you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. No, nowadays people they're so obvious horror, it's very cheap.
It's always about jump scares, and that's about it, not about the tension buildup.
Well, jump scares are, totally
they're
fine.
Fun.
I just
Yeah, if not overused. I mean, what Hitchcock always famously said is like use dialogue as like a last resort to tell your story, and that's what I really feel that you guys were doing. It's very strong performances and very strong cinematography. It's all around. You guys are nailing it. And
thank you so much.
And listeners, Matilda herself stars in one of the film, or well, two of the films, but really you're more showcase like featured in The Dam, and just she gives an incredible performance as always. So if you guys want to see more Matilda,
so nice,
then please. And if you just want to see some gorgeous visuals, like beautiful location, beautiful setting, a lot of nature, it's just, I could go on and on. Okay, I'll shut up. They're here for Maisel. Yeah, they're here for Maisel. So we got to give the people what they want, And before we jump into our questions, Matilda, first we just want to hear a little bit about you and how you got into acting. If you've always wanted to be an actor, and I always like to ask the question to our guests, if you had to pick a most memorable or favorite role, what would it be?
Well, it's not like acting is something that I've always wanted to do. You read these interviews with other actors where they say, oh, I knew I wanted to be an actor since I was like 6 years old. I do know, again, so I don't have any recollection of this, but my sister did say that she was trying to push my mom to get me into commercials when I was really, really small. Cause she thought that I had a really, cute, look when I was like, 3, 4, 5 years old. And, my mom, of course, being off the boat, Poland, her reaction was like, pretty much that was it. And that was the end of the discussion. But I did do a speech contest all throughout grammar school, and I must, pat myself on the back. I won first place every single year.
Hell yeah!
Thank you very much. So that was, that's a little bit different than acting, but that's something that's I felt that I was really good at, and I really enjoyed doing. And then in high school, I did all the, High School Musicals, even though I can sing Worth a Damn. I was in chorus, so it doesn't really matter. But it was just a lot of fun. I did a couple plays too. And then I went to University of Chicago, as you mentioned. And the whole time, pretty much, I went the, academic route, which is what was expected of me, growing up, in an immigrant family. Like, that's what it was. It's like, I was straight A's. I was valedictorian in 8th grade. I was like the top 3% in, my high school. I went to, and then I went to U of C. And then when I was there, I was part of the UT, which is University Theater. And then in my third year at U of C, I was like, oh my God, I only have one more year left. What am I going to do with myself? Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I have to become an adult and do something, make choices and, decisions. And so I actually felt that I had two roads to go down, and there was a question of which one to choose. One would have been to continue the academic route. I was considering getting a PhD in Eastern European folklore. So I have a degree in anthropology, actually, as an undergrad. So I just thought that I was going to thank you. So I just thought I was going to continue on, cool. In that path. Or I was like, wow, well, maybe I should, bite the bullet and just try acting. And that's what I ended up doing, because I figured might as well try it, right after I graduated, and then I can always just go back to grad school. So I moved to New York, and then, I guess the rest is history. So
European folklore, that sounds fascinating too. That's almost very, Midge of you, majoring in Russian literature.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, the anthropology thing, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, because these things that you were studying, like, those are my greatest interests as well. And like, if I could be doing anything other than performing myself, I would probably be into those same things, and certainly watching your films, your horror films. And listeners, I'm very lucky. I got to meet Matilda in person when I saw her amazing play, The Magazine, which did you co-write it as well, or just direct it?
No. I directed it. I co-produced it, and then I directed it. And again, Thank you so much for coming. I so appreciated.
Oh my God, it was
you guys coming and checking it out. No, Chrissy Perfetti Williams is the playwright. Excuse me. So she wrote it, and
fabulous. And like I was saying, it's so anthropological of you. You're very into, like I said, delivering a message with your entertainment. You're not just, you're not doing anything halfway. You're really going layers. There's layers to your art. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, tying, well, first of all, I'm just going to say really quick about the magazine, as you know, so the important message there is, it's all about the gun issues that we have in America.
Yeah.
But the play itself was about the grief and the loss.
Right. There's layers, man. There's so much in there. Yeah.
And then there's still plenty of levity, because that's just life. It's like, you go to a funeral, and you're, people still make jokes, because you just like, you have to have that. It's human nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like 1 minute, like, you're laughing your head off, and then you start crying, because then you realize, oh crap, I'm at a wake. And that's my loved one in the casket over there,
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're considering turning the magazine into a film, Chrissy will make it into a screenplay, and I'll be directing that.
That'd be amazing.
That is awesome.
It needs to happen.
More people can see it. More people can, have access, to that.
Maybe send that down to Texas. That'd be good.
Yes.
Everywhere. Just everywhere.
Yeah.
And on that note, listeners, the accessibility note, Matilda's films, by the way, are incredibly accessible. You can purchase them for, I think, $5 on Amazon. But if you would like to just rent them, for 48 hours, give them a watch. Like I said, they're only 10 minutes. $1.99. You can't beat it. Just what are you waiting for? Links in the description. Anyway, sorry, Matilda. Go ahead.
Thank you. No, but what I was going to add also is, like, bringing it back to Maisel. It's just like, Maisel obviously is a comedy. But there's obviously so many messages, like subtexts and political messages that Amy put in there in all 5 seasons. And it's just so beautifully made in that sense. It's so smart. It's so witty.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's one of the reasons why people love Maisel so much, because it's the way it's written, because how smart it is.
Definitely.
It's so layered. That's why all
exactly.
our episodes
that's
were
the right
like
word to use. Yeah, it's so layered.
3 hours long.
Oh, yeah.
We could not stop talking about it, because there's just so much packed into each episode.
And when we were afraid that our episodes were too long, we asked our listeners, do you want us to talk less about this? And everyone overwhelmingly wrote in, no, please, the longer the better. I can listen to you talk about this show all day. And like, it's less a credit to us than it is to the Mrs. Maisel, the show, You guys you're doing some amazing work, really changing lives, touching people all over the world. And I think that this show came to the world in the perfect time. Mm-hmm. I remember watching this during quarantine, and we were all so hungry to escape. But at the same time, have some smart humor injected into our lives, you know? And you guys
and a lot of people started watching it for the first time, you know, during the pandemic.
That's true.
Yep.
Which was great, you know, so that we, you know, all of a sudden got you know, a different section of audience, more fans of people who maybe didn't have time to watch it before, or maybe they thought that they would, it's not my cup of tea or whatever.
Right.
But then they started watching it and they're just like, oh my God, this is so good. Where was I?
Where was
what
I?
rock was I under?
Seriously.
I haven't been watching this. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. And I always say, don't start watching the show if you haven't started from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start it unless you have like a good solid day to devote to the season 1 binge.
Prepare to continue.
It's a page turner.
I realized that I didn't answer your second part of that question.
I was onto it. Yeah. I was about to ask you.
What has been my favorite role? And hands down, it's Zelda, of course. Like, you know, I've loved all the roles that I've played, but like Zelda is that's just been like an epic role. Yes. And this show changed my life. And I'm just so grateful to Amy and Dan and Dana, who is the executive producer, for having me on board and, you know, and for all 5 seasons. And I just love playing her. She's
good reason.
So much fun.
And I'm going to play really quickly. We're going to play a little Zelda clip for you guys.
Hello. Hello, Mrs. Weissman. My goodness, you like to talk a lot on the phone. I wasn't on the phone. I don't have time. Miss Miriam is trying to get in touch with you. She's going to be funny tonight at the Gordon Board show. She has tickets for you to come.
Why are you whispering?
Janusz does not want me talking to you people anymore. He says you are a vampire sucking the lifeblood out of us.
Zelda, who are you talking to?
This never happened, right?
Oh my goodness.
I love that vampire line. It cracks me.
I know, me
every
too.
Time. It's so
Truly.
It's hilarious.
Oh my God. That's probably my favorite Zelda moment. It makes me laugh it never gets old. This never happened. Bye.
I know everyone was like texting me and emailing me after that came out. They're just like, oh my God, that's absolutely hysterical. I'm so glad you thought so. That was the very, very last scene that I ever shot for Maisel.
Wow.
And
you went out with a bang, honey.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
That's true.
It might be my favorite Zelda moment, which is hard to choose just one, but like it made
there's so many.
Yeah. There's so many. And you did so much with sometimes so few words, you know, which is
thank you.
Such
and the expressions help. Like there's sometimes the looks on Zelda's face, like you have to pay attention, but it's the funniest part of certain scenes because it's just so real.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun playing her. Yeah, some reviewer a few years ago wrote, you know, just look at Zelda's face. It tells no lies.
Yes.
That's true.
She's one of those people, you always know how Zelda feels. She can't hide it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's how I am in real life, actually.
Nice.
Such a bad liar.
That helps.
You portrayed her so authentic. Like she didn't seem like a caricature. Yeah. She was just, you know, this is real.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense to me. It's like a little thing you and Zelda have in common.
Well, I started sobbing after that scene because, like I said, it was last moment, and you know, Maisel's always very, very good that if there is a phone call scene, the other actor is physically there, and most shows don't do that.
Nice. Yeah.
Right.
But we've all of us have always been there for each other. And so Maren was there, you know, Maren was physically there, off camera, obviously, giving her lines to me. So, you know, so she was there on my last day and a bunch, you know, all the crew was there and Amy, of course. And, you know, as soon as I heard, Amy say, you know,
that's a wrap on
cut
Matilda.
And check it.
Right.
You know, so as soon as I heard that, check it, that I just started sobbing.
Oh.
And for those of you guys listening who don't know, that means check the gate, and the gate is right in front of the camera. So they always check to make sure there's like no piece of hair or like a fuzzball or a piece of dust or anything like that that could have like gotten filmed. Basically, and sometimes that does happen.
Right. And
Smart.
then but basically like check the gate means like we got it as long as camera is fine. Like as long as there's no
Exactly.
technical
That's why I started sobbing.
'Cause
That's why
you
I started
knew.
sobbing as soon.
That's
Yeah, I
it.
knew that was. Yeah,
your performance was over. Oh man.
it was done. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it's very rare for something to be wrong
Right.
after they say check the gate. So
Right.
that's how it's like. And I just burst into tears. And then Amy came
Aw.
over and like we gave me a big hug. And she's like, "Oh, honey," like it was
So sweet.
yeah. And they gave all of us this on our last days, respectively. But so then she handed me this wrapped. You could tell it was a frame, right? You could tell it was like a frame photo, but it was like wrapped in this beautiful pink wrapping paper. And it was this, everyone got black and white photos and they're big. They're pretty big. Like I want to say 12 by 18. I think the frame is like 12 by 18. Like it's big. And so we always had a professional photographer on set. Philippe, at least for season 5, his name was Philippe. And I think the other one, season 3, season 4 was Nicole. But anyway, so it was a moment as me though, as the actor, but I was dressed as Zelda and it was in between takes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that he was taking the photo. I had no idea he was taking this photo. And I'm sitting in a chair in the kitchen. And it's one of those scenes in season 5 where, I already had left. So I'm dressed in regular people clothes, not my uniform.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I think it was episode, I want to say 6.
Right.
When I come back with Janusz.
That's
And
a good one.
that is, I think it's the one with the lame horses. But anyway, so it's that outfit. And I'm sitting in the kitchen in the chair. And again, as me, just in between takes, and just kind of staring off, into space. And it's such a thoughtful photo and it's just beautiful. The composition is just beautiful.
Such a nice gift.
I don't know if
and
that's something you'd be willing to share on your Instagram, perhaps.
You know what? It is on there.
Oh, it
actually,
is?
I did put it up. Yeah, it's on one of my.
Now I'm wondering how I missed it. Maybe I did see it.
First one,
because as you're
what I mean?
describing it, I feel like I've seen it before. I'm painting the picture in my mind, and I'm like, I can imagine exactly what that looks like. And I'm sure I've scrolled your
pretty
Instagram,
sure
so
it's up there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in one of those group ones though. It's not the first photo in the group.
All right. Well,
you know what I mean? So,
I'm going to find it and I'm going to somehow repost it or make it so our listeners can see it, guys. Don't worry. I gotcha. If this photo is available to us.
And I can also email it to you too. But
yes.
I'm 99% sure it's on Instagram.
I'm sure you're right.
And once it premiered, that's one of the photos that I think that I put up.
Well,
but it was just it is such a thoughtful gift. And, and all of us got, our own respective, it was a character portrait.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so special.
love that.
Oh, yeah. Me
Very
too.
special. Yeah. Very, very special. They're so good like that. And that was specifically from Amy and Dan, their wrap gift to all of us.
That's
Love
awesome.
it.
It was very meaningful.
Well, okay, we have some listener questions for Matilda. So we got so many fantastic questions from you guys. Thank you so much for writing in. Seriously. And we probably won't have time to get to all of them, but it's highly likely that your question will be answered in some way as we continue to discuss everything. So let's get started with the questions from our listeners. Erica, take it away.
So Matilda, our first question is from one of our listeners, and she asks, what was your favorite episode to film? And our listener, Lily Martinez, wants to know if you had a favorite Zelda moment.
Well, I would have to say hands down the wedding. Zelda's wedding was the best episode ever.
It really was.
I personally just, it was so meaningful to me. It was so meaningful to me, being that I'm Polish, and Donna, our costume designer, just really knocked it out of the park.
Killed
with that,
it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Authentic, ethnic Polish, dress, the headdress, the ribbons. And she built that for me. And she did her research. She completely did her
Wow.
research and she, she built that. But I have to say that the shoes are actually from Poland, those boots that they bought from a Polish store that is in Michigan.
That's so
So
cool.
cool.
Yes, in Hamtramck,
The
Michigan.
details.
Yes.
Like, it's just,
I know.
It's so good.
I only wish that I
That's
could have
why
gotten a better
people-
look at the boots. I feel
I
like I didn't
know.
get a very good look at them, you know?
I actually, you posted on Instagram, didn't you? A close up of them with the red laces.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did. I
good.
was just going to say that. Yeah. I posted a close up also of like the cuffs, like the
Mhm.
lace cuffs.
It's beautiful.
The details of the show in general, the details of the production values are outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so, everything across the board, but Donna really outdid herself, with that. And even props and set design and everything, there's the big buffet in the room, with all this Polish food with like stuffed cabbage and pierogi, at Zelda's wedding. And I made the joke when we were on set. I was just like, Zelda cooked all
Yeah.
this for her own wedding. Because who else would have done it?
Of course she did.
Yep. Even cleaning afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that.
With the
I was
vacuum.
teaching them how to use the vacuum. Yeah.
Oh
In
my
wedding
gosh.
dress, I was just like,
I
my
know.
God, that's so funny. That is so
So
funny.
That
It
may
really
be up there with my favorite Zelda moment. That absolutely slayed me. I could not stop laughing.
Yeah. When
Loved
when
it.
Abe was like, "Can you explain the
Yes.
exact mechanics of the vacuum
Yes.
machine?" And you're like, "No, no, I cannot." Shut up.
Yeah, that was just really, really great. I just so appreciated, and I was just so grateful, and it really got to me emotionally that Amy and Dan, and for that specific episode, it was Isaac and Oliver who wrote the wedding, the wedding episode. It meant so much to me, the arc that they gave Zelda. Not only just throughout the seasons, but specifically in season 5. That was just so special and meaningful, that
nice.
they gave her that storyline.
We were
And-
all
Great.
thrilled. Finally, Zelda
Yes.
gets some meat to work with here, I remember.
So it was, it was very special.
Yeah, I remember gushing about your performance when we podcasted on that episode.
yeah.
I was like,
thank you.
We took so long to talk about it, about how it was my most marvelous moment of that episode. I think it was all of ours, actually. It was the episode
Yeah.
that I said, so we always have a most marvelous moment, which is going to be my next question for you, because it was Lily Martinez's question in there, like, what's your favorite Zelda moment? So get ready for it. But yeah, it was that week. I remember I was like, do we even have to like pick? Like, it's not even a question what our most marvelous moment is. Like, it was Zelda and Janusz saying their vows to one another. It
That
hit
was
me
super sweet.
so hard. It was, I mean, Matilda, you're an incredible actor. You really are. It was
Well, I
Oh my
think-
goodness, thank you. That's so
great.
kind of
That
you to
was
say. I
amazing.
appreciate it.
really.
I was like, I think
That really
my
was.
most.
But the thing is, oh, sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say, like, I just felt like it's like almost two worlds collided specifically in that moment, because, like I said, it was special for me as Matilda, but obviously it's so special for Zelda.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
She's Zelda. Zelda has found love, which is what Joel says on the fire escape. With Midge as they're toasting with vodka.
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards, he's like, I'm so happy Zelda found love. So for Zelda, it was just, such a special moment for her.
Mhm.
That here's Janusz and she's leaving. She's
Well,
moving on with her life.
Kind of. Yeah. They keep trying to pull
Well,
her back in.
No, right. Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is also very hysterical. But it's like, but then it comes down to, at the end of the day, she is family, which comes to answering my other favorite Zelda moment, to answer who's Lily?
Mhm.
Is that Lily's
Yes,
question?
that's
Yes.
Lily.
Mhm.
It was in a season 1, episode 2, where Zelda only says one word, and it's Iceland. And it's at the Yom Kippur dinner. It's the Yom Kippur dinner scene.
Such a good
And-
scene.
Yeah, it's and they already established so many things in the pilot and already at the beginning of season 1, but they establish how Zelda is not just an employee, she's family.
Mhm.
And that through line, and it was that through line all the way, and even especially at the end, she's getting married, and she gets married like in their living room, and the family is there for it, and then she does keep getting pulled back in, because I think for her, it is her family.
Right.
Even though she was obviously, I really do feel ready to leave, especially like she had it, especially like when Janusz was like so frustrated, then I feel like because he was getting so stressed and frustrated, like, what are you doing? Then it was making her more stressed and frustrated. And then she just lost it. Amy came up to me and she's just like, she was just like, Zelda's had it up to here with these people. Like, you just already had it, so that's when I come in, like, throw down the linens. Like, that's the linen closet. Yeah. They're the tablecloths, and I just had it. But even though, again, I really do feel like it's, at the end of the day, it's still family. But anyway, going back to, Iceland. So the Yom Kippur dinner scene. So Moish, who's played wonderfully by Kevin Pollak, he's like telling Abe, well, you must have all this money. You have this beautiful home. You have the servant here. And, Tony is like, oh, she's not a servant. She's an employee. And at the same time, Rose says, she's family. And then, and then Abe's like, oh, she's family too. She even has vacation days. She went to Holland last year. And I go, Iceland, better than Holland, and it was just this like perfect, comic timing from like everybody, so that would be like, I think my favorite Zelda moment outside of the wedding.
I do like that. Well, you talk about family and the Wiseman seeing her as family. And my favorite, I think my most marvelous moment from the wedding episode was that scene where we got to see, all four of these, powerful, wonderful female characters getting ready with you.
Yes.
It was so fantastic to watch. Like, I think that's when I started tearing up a little bit, because I was just like, they love her so much. Like, this is
we actually said that to each other on set. How wonderful to have four women in a scene by ourselves.
Definitely the first and the only time that ever happened on the show was with the four of you guys sharing a scene together. It was so special. Yeah. It stood out energetically. Like, it stood out of the show as something very different, Ugh.
It was such a good episode. They're all good, but that one was really special.
Oh yeah.
It really was.
That one was hard to top. Yep.
It was, yeah. And then the show ends and we're all like,
spin-off. Come on, guys.
Oh, yes. Yes. Put it out into the universe. I know Alex Gimignani, who played Janusz, who's fantastic. We were joking around about that. And, he came up with one of the titles for the, possible spin-off, and whereas Pole-ish.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
And and I was joking around saying Zelda After Hours, but Pole-ish is so much funnier.
Oh my gosh.
I'd watch it.
Pole-ish.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I love it.
We already have the Wolford set. Like, you might as well. It's just waiting.
I want the spinoff though really badly of Zelda and Janusz, and like Abe and Rose like pop in occasionally. Like
I was joking around with them. I'm not kidding you. I was joking around with Tony and Maren about that.
And I mean, who wouldn't be down for that? You guys would all be like so in, right?
Yeah, I think. I think Zelda would end up running a Polish restaurant in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Yes,
I could see.
I think
that is, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of our questions. So put a pin in that, Matilda.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's what. Yeah, we have a question pertaining to where Zelda went after the show ended. Like, so we're gonna ask you that.
There were, multiple people that wrote in and wanted to know essentially what was the most challenging day of filming. And was it, a location shoot like Coney Island or something in the Wiseman Maisel home set? And I think there were other people mentioning, was it one of those infamous oneers that are shot for Maisel?
Well, we did a oneer almost every single time, pretty much, as a master. But yeah, I would definitely say Coney Island. And I'll tell you why. That definitely was a oneer. And then we had like 250 extras. Oh my gosh. We were at Coney Island for real. And I just want to say how special that day was, because we had just had a year of, quarantine for the pandemic. So we had a year off. Obviously, we were supposed to start shooting, season 4 pretty much when the, pandemic hit. And for a lot of us, it's like all of a sudden we are in this carnival atmosphere with all these people, and the rides are going and people are laughing, and, we're outside with this group of people. And
it's like overload, I'm sure. It's like overwhelming.
It was great. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day out on Coney Island. Like it was, even though it's like in the first episode, we actually had to wait until May to shoot it because of weather. Obviously, we couldn't shoot it in January when we eventually got back into production. So I guess it was already a year and a half since, the pandemic had started. But it was just so joyous. The weather was great. And everyone was just so happy. And ironically, it felt so retro. It felt retro because we had just been in quarantine, and not seeing people. And all of a sudden now we're in this like carnival.
Like the old days.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This amusement park where it was just fantastic. I mean, everyone was in such a great mood. Everyone had a great time. And it was a long day. Oh my God, this was probably like an 18-hour day.
Oh, I can imagine.
Jeez.
For Coney Island. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. But, and also I just want to put an asterisk, obviously everyone tested. They were really good with testing. So, plus it was outside anyway, so,
right.
So everything was like fine. But anyway, going back to that oneer, so that whole beginning part, that's a complete, oneer where they're going around. And I basically was the last, one of the last people at the end of that oneer, and you do not want to be that person to mess up at the end of like a really long, complicated oneer.
Pressure's on.
Oh my God, so much pressure. And the way that this was done, again, there's like all these extras. We're really at Coney Island. The rides are going. It's all loud. So I couldn't see or hear what the group was saying. So there was a PA crouched down by me, and she heard all the dialogue. She was hearing it. So then when it was time, we timed it first. We rehearsed it. We timed it out. So when it was time for me to run, she like tugged on my skirt. And then I was like Frogger. I had to like move, maneuver through all these extras who were just kind of, walking and doing their thing, being in the amusement park. And I had to time it. I had to time it exactly. So when Tony finished his line, I run up with the camera and, I say my line with the, funny pony rides and stuff, whatever, that line was. And again, that like, I feel like out of all those years, all 5 seasons, to me, that was personally the hardest moment to do, again, just because of also the logistics of it, but also the pressure of like,
and the physicality. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, the physicality and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to again, pat myself on the back. I did not mess up.
Oh my God.
So yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was such an iconic scene too. So it definitely paid off.
Yeah. Austin.
It was, like I said, it was a great day. It was a great day.
Oh man, I can imagine. And all of you coming out and like you were saying, after the pandemic and everything, everyone's just, and Lord knows it took long enough for amusement parks to only just recently get back to kind of semi-normal, although it will never be normal again. Like those days are gone, everything is different when it comes to a bunch of people being in one place together. So I can imagine how special and like magical that must have felt for everything.
Oh, that's a great word. It was magical. And like I said, we all felt it.
Yeah. Just happy to be there and like, pretending that things are normal. Yeah. Oh, that's so
awesome.
great. Well, okay, we have another question from our listener, Moss Hollow Hill on Instagram. And she says, I'm curious what she was able to bring to Amy and Dan in order to bring Zelda to life. Was it all scripted, or did she have any input that made it onto the show? She was absolutely brilliant. Her book reminded me of something that Leslie Knope would have made. Nope. She says, distant ancestor, perhaps? And I just wanted to add to that, like on working with Dan and Amy, like just what in general, what were they like as directors? They're notorious for fitting a ton of dialogue into a very short scene. So was that difficult to keep up with like the pace? Did it take time to adjust? All of these things we want to know.
Oh, so many questions.
Yeah.
So little time.
I
Where to
know.
begin? Well, first of all, the script is the script, like meaning the text. And for working on Maisel, so Amy's notorious for, and I completely agree with her. You cannot change a word. Like everything has to be letter perfect. So I guess the answer for what was the most difficult thing is to make sure that when you memorized the script, when you memorize your lines, that it had to be letter perfect. And I mean, like, there'd be, a cut, we'd stop and the script girl will come over. I'm sorry, but you said a and it's the, like it was that
Oh my God.
specific. And again, I'm all for it because there's a reason why writers write specific words down. There's a reason why she wrote the instead of a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's what makes it feel so kind of almost musical at times and magical.
It
is
This
very
back
musical.
and forth. Yep.
Well, and also it's like dance too, and that's Amy's background is dance, and there was a lot of choreography, and that's perfectly put. Like there's definitely the way we moved, especially for those oneers. Like it was all it's all choreographed, and same thing. Like there's a musicality to the words, to the dialogue, absolutely. But so in terms of then what did I bring? Well, they started writing Zelda for me and made her Polish. So originally she wasn't Polish. The breakdown originally said that she was like, Eastern European, like a generic, you know what I mean? And so a lot of people were like auditioning, for her. But then once I ended up getting cast, it was just so wonderful and lovely for them to then start incorporating the fact that I'm Polish and I can speak Polish. And, they started doing that. I think it was the first time I spoke Polish was at that other Yom Kippur dinner scene. I think it was season 3, I think. Yeah. So, and then they continued on with that. So that was really great. And then, so, I feel like actors in general, bring in their mannerisms, like, how a character moves through space. And one of the things I had decided for Zelda was that how she moved, like she moved quickly. And because she had she doesn't have time for anything. Like she has so many things to do. She's cooking this, she's cooking that, she's got to clean this, like just no time, so that's how I decided to like move her. And at one point, I think it was season 2, I hear Dan from the other room go, okay, so for this take, Matilda, not so Zelda fast. So he had coined the phrase. He coined this phrase, Zelda fast. And I loved it. I was like, oh my God. Like of course he, noticed because, he's a director and he was, but both him and Amy. But I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. Then, because I was like, that's right. Because I made that choice to have her move through life and through space in a very quick manner. So
very appropriate.
And so I don't know if this would be part of, answering this question or not, but I based her on one of the people I based her on was when I was in high school, I worked in a Lithuanian restaurant called Tupe. It was like a hole in a wall on the south side of Chicago, Market Park on Lithuanian Plaza. And the cook who worked in the restaurant, she was Polish and she moved so fast in the kitchen. And I mean, I was so afraid like she was going to chop a finger off because she seriously was just like using all these big blades and she's just, doing this and doing that. And I was like, oh my God. And I thought of her when I got cast as Zelda. I thought of her. I was like, oh, okay. I think this is how Zelda would move through life as well, just really fast because she doesn't have time for anything. And she has so much stuff to do. And then the accent is, I thought of my mom. I would look at my lines as I was memorizing them and think, how would my mom say this word or this line? Because my mom has like a really thick accent. So
that's
so
actually
fantastic.
That's it's one of our questions from Thomas Smith. Wanted to know, how did she go about portraying a housekeeper in the 60s? Has she ever had domestic help herself? So you kind of are answering that already. And that
well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say one of the things I picked up on from your interview with Kevin Pollak was that your mother actually did the Midge Maisel makeup routine, and I was wondering how you used her as an influence, if she's at all like Zelda, or who you used for your Zelda inspiration.
Oh no, my mom is definitely not Zelda. My mom idolized Marilyn Monroe. So
yes.
she definitely is not Zelda.
She's not the domestic type.
She is, and that's just how you grew up, and that's just how you were, like she always made, dinners from scratch every single night, like meat and potatoes, soups. I mean, she did it all, and because that's just what was expected of her, and same thing with them. She was so afraid to have, after they got married, she was so afraid of my dad seeing her without makeup. And I told Amy, I went up and I told Amy when, after I saw that she put it in the script, I was just like, Amy, oh my God, I got to tell you, my mom did that. And I almost fell out of my chair. And Amy's just like, that's right.
That is wild. Because we all thought that was, how far-fetched is that? And like to hear people, a lot of people come out with these stories like, yo, that was real. That's like taken from life. I'm like, man, life was different.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
No, but I mean, okay. So to answer, you said Tom? Was it Tom?
Thomas? Yes. You're so good. You're like just remembering these things. I say it one little time and you're on it.
Hi, Thomas. So Thomas, no, I definitely did not have domestic help. I was a domestic help, one would say. I've cater waitered and was a waitress for so many years. I actually started cater waitering when I was 13. I got paid under the table.
Wow.
So, and yeah, I did just many, 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 many years of that. And what's funny is going back to that first Yom Kippur scene, that oneer. So I was serving soup and it took hours and hours and hours and hours because, once you do the master, that oneer, then you have coverage. But then everyone still has to do what they're doing, to even with the coverage. And the details are not skimped on Maisel at all. So it was a real, heavy ceramic bowl or whatever I was holding, and it was real soup in there. And so for hours, I was going and like ladling soup from person to person to, person around the table. And I didn't spill a drop. I was just all perfection. And Dan goes to me, thank you. And Dan goes to me, I have to ask, do you have any, waitress experience? And I said to him, I'm like, I started catering when I was 13. And he goes, it shows in his dry way. And I was just, and again, he, noticed that detail. But, that's not something, I have to tell you, that's not something that was in the original breakdown. It's not like they said, we're looking for an actress who actually has, waitress experience. That wasn't in there at all. At least I don't remember it being, so it just happened to be.
It was a hidden talent.
It was meant to be. Yeah.
For sure.
The perfect actor for the perfect part.
Yeah, those dinner scenes, like that's something I feel like the Palladinos do so well. Because in Gilmore Girls, the family dinner scenes, and then throughout Maisel, anytime you have all of these characters around a table, it's like dynamite. It's so entertaining. Like the chemistry finally getting
it's real though. And it's real, because it's like you have your own like family dinners, and that's what people do. That's what happens. People get into arguments, people talk over each other, all this stuff happens. Oh, yeah. What do you mean? No one told me that. What's going on here? Like when you have these like holiday gatherings and all this stuff comes out, and they did such a great job with all those family scenes.
Very authentic. Like you can tell how all of you get along and how there's this mutual respect for not only each other, but for the writing and for the directing. Like it's palpable on screen. And I think that's what makes this show almost addictive. Like people keep rewatching, and I don't think that's going to stop.
No.
Nope.
Like
it's a classic, and you're right. It was a big love fest. I'm not going to lie. Like we all got along so well. Everyone was like so nice, and across the board too, cast and crew, and we all treated, like you said, we all treated each other with respect, and which is super important. And it was just such a collaboration, You know,
Yeah.
it really was such a collaboration with all of us together.
That actually leads perfectly into our next little cluster of questions here, all about how your dynamic with the other actors and how you guys got along. Yeah. So, okay, Erica, go ahead and read that one from Joyce Weinstock.
Yeah, so Joyce wanted to know, she just mentioned what a beautifully acted and hilarious performance that was consistent from the beginning. She wanted to know how many times did her lines make people laugh during filming of a scene and had to be done over. She said, I'm watching for the second time from the beginning, catching so much more from her than I did the first go round. You have to be able to take your eye off Susie, Midge, and Rose to catch some of her lines, but she is so funny. Yeah, she's right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, there's definitely plenty of times where we're trying so hard not to break character, across the board. One of the things that pops into my head, not necessarily my line particularly, but the episode, I think it was season 4, where Susie's staying over and she stays over late. So Zelda stays late because she wants to wash the one cup and the one plate that, Susie's using.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's in the hallway. So it's me, Mara and Rachel and Tony. And when we were, when we were rehearsing it and then we started shooting it, like we were talking quietly, but we were still talking at, using our like regular voice,
like a loud whisper.
No, it wasn't whisper at all.
It was like loud. Yeah.
That's where I'm getting to. So we weren't doing that yet. So then Amy's direction was, I want you guys to whisper loud, but loudly, but you're not using your regular voice, which is what we were all doing, just talking quietly. Oh my God, that direction just changed everything. It made it so much funnier. And we just all lost it. All 4 of us we had, tears streaming down our faces because we just started laughing. And it's just one of those moments too. Like once you start, like you have to, wait. And Amy's like, it's okay. I'll wait till you get your yayas out. We'll wait, until we roll again. Cause it's like every single time we started, one of us would like start like cracking up again. Like it was just one of those moments.
There's something about that is so funny when like a loud whisper, because it defeats the entire purpose of what you're trying to do. And the absurdity of what you guys were saying, the lines are just so absurdly funny.
But that direction, it was just a little subtle tweak and it just changed.
Yeah. Made it magic.
Just laughing ourselves.
Yeah.
And then the other scene where I didn't make enough squash and I was like crying again, another family dinner. And so this was during like rehearsals. And then I'm in the kitchen and I overhear, Abe say, is there any more squash? And, and then Zelda goes, oh, from the kitchen.
Yeah.
And every single time I did that, Kevin Pollak would laugh. And I was like, yes, I make him laugh. But so that was, that's another moment that, comes to mind. So that was
one of my favorite Zelda moments was when you said, I'm just so happy.
Yeah. When you, so happy. We just moved back. I came back. Yeah. Right. I got to come back and we're with the family again.
Yeah. I get the sense that, like, funny. If I were to ask Zelda, it's not that she's not happy with Janusz, and it's not that she doesn't totally see Janusz's point that, like, really, you got to break ties with these people already. Like, they're kind of sucking the life out of you here. It's kind of like Zelda enjoys being sucked. She's like, but they're my family. I feel like Zelda's. I don't know if I may be so bold here as to think of what Zelda might be thinking. Like getting married, moving out of the house, but then still occasionally, like in her perfect world, maybe going back a couple times a week to check in, make sure that everything is okay, make sure all the dishes are being done, make sure that they're just because they're all kind of like her children. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And the children themselves,
yes.
And then even one generation back, she raised Midge.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that, they most, and again, this is me saying this. I have no idea what Amy was thinking, or this was definitely not written down anywhere. I'm pretty sure that she's been there for, many, many years. And definitely when Midge was much younger, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What is that reference? Like the boy that used to climb out of your window or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
to lose the boy.
She's
to lose the boy that climbs out your window.
Well, no, that was that reference was for Joel. Yeah. Because there was that one episode after they broke up, but they're still kind of hooking up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Zella knows everything. So that wasn't about her being a teenager. That was about like literally 2 weeks ago.
But
your
even
husband.
Joel.
Yeah, but even still, the way that you talk to Midge, it gives the sense that you've comforted her before. There is like a familiarity there,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like Zelda knows everything. Yeah, Zelda knows everything, especially in that moment too when he does sleep over, when they already have separated, and that scene where, Midge is like, oh, whatever, this and that, everything's fine. The parents are totally clueless. And then the scene ends with me, like Zelda's like totally staring at her and she's like, what? And, Zelda just knows. Zelda knows that, Joel was in her bedroom and spent the night because she just knows everything.
Yeah. So nothing gets past Zelda.
Exactly.
That's true. Let's see. Our next question is from Micheline Maynard. And she said, please ask her how she liked working with Alexander Gimignani, who played Janusz. He's such a big, dare I say, hammy personality. Did they have fun?
Oh, he was fantastic. He's so talented.
Fantastic.
He was so incredibly fantastic. And just so everyone knows, he does not speak Polish. He does not speak any language for that matter.
Wild.
And he did such a fantastic job in speaking Polish. And he was really nervous about it.
I cannot get over this. The fact that man did not. We all assumed I don't think there was one person who would have thought that he was not fluent in Polish. I mean, truly, this is mind-boggling to hear. So
I just kept telling him. I kept telling him on set. I'm just like, relax, because I'm telling you right now, as a Polish person, you're doing a pretty damn good job.
Yeah.
So and then they had a lot of times, not every time, but they would have these really large cue cards for him with the words spelled out phonetically. That would be like behind my head or off to the side or whatever. And then a lot of it was, also fixed during ADR. Right. So that, that helped as well, to match that up. But yeah, I thought, he's just so incredibly talented. And I'm going to, say something, and you guys are probably not going to believe it because I don't think it's even in the credits, but in that garbage musical scene, I can't remember what episode that was. It was obviously this season. Where they do that, it's that 4. Industrial or whatever, that conference, whatever, that Garbage Man musical. He plays the old man. He's the old man in that musical.
I love that so much.
I
know, it's crazy.
Fantastic.
Okay. How did that end up happening? Did they purposely cast him as the old man? That's so crazy.
No. I'll tell you, and this is a lesson for actors too. So, a lot of times when we have the table reads for that episode, a number of people, a lot of the characters, like the day players and whatnot, are not cast yet. So we all like double up or triple up those characters, and we have a lot of fun with them, because it's like, obviously we're never going to play these characters. We're just doing it because they haven't actually cast these actors. And
that's the most fun part of a table read, I imagine. It's like
fun. It's just so much fun. Yeah, because all of a sudden you're not being your character. You could just have fun with all these other different. You're like characters.
back in acting class or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he read at the table read for The Garbage Man, and Amy loved it so much.
Oh my gosh!
That she was just like, we can't. Because they were holding auditions for it. They're just like, we can't find the right person to play this role, but you were so hysterical at the table read. Do you want to do it?
Oh my gosh.
We would love to have you do it. And he was like, okay. And that, that was it. And then so he ended up, filming that as well.
He did a fantastic job. Yes. That was so good.
And that's not the first time that Amy and Dan have done that on Gilmore Girls. I think it's A Year in the Life. The actor who plays Gypsy randomly played the housekeeper, Emily's housekeeper, and I just remember wondering, like, why the hell is she in this weird costume and no one's acknowledging that it's Gypsy? And I had to look it up, and the story behind it is she killed at the table read because she stepped in when they hadn't cast the part yet, and everyone just was in stitches from her performance. And I guess it's one of those things where, like, when you hear it, you know it's right. And Amy heard Alexander read that old man, and she's like, "That's it. No one's gonna do better than that. Got to be him."
Yeah, I mean, he was perfect. I mean, we were like in stitches at the table read.
I never would have known. I never would have known that was him. That is wild.
Well, they gave him like a wig, I think, he had, and a hat, and I think he had glasses on too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think, I mean, he looked great. Like for Janusz, he looked perfect. He looked perfect for the role. And he's obviously super talented too. But I had actually asked the casting director, so Ann Davison, who works with Cindy Tolan, who are, the New York City, casting office for Maisel. And I asked her, did you actually see Polish actors, like real Polish actors for Janusz? Because obviously Alex, is in Polish. So I was wondering what the background was of that, just out of my own curiosity. And she said, yeah, we saw some Polish actors, but she goes, honestly, in the breakdown, it clearly said this actor will not have to speak Polish. They just have to do an Eastern European accent. So she said that, that obviously widened the search, and, and Alex came in and, Alex, obviously, I think he's just perfect for it. Great accent and everything. And after he was cast and after we started shooting, then Amy started writing the Polish for him. And also what maybe a lot of people, the listeners don't know is now that the writer's strike is going on, the reason why like a lot of places are like down, production is down, because for TV, you don't write all the episodes in like, say, January and then shoot everything for the next 8 months. They write each episode as the year progresses, as production progresses. And so she started writing in Polish as the season went on. And he was like, wait, what? Wait, hold on a second. And he's like, I can't do this.
Oh my God.
And she's like, yes, you can. She's like, yes, you can. I trust you can. And he did, obviously. He did, yeah. And again, he did a fantastic job.
To imagine that as an actor, to imagine that like the script all of a sudden becoming something completely different, like you have to speak a foreign language. And Polish is not an easy language.
No, it's not.
No pressure.
I really think
no pressure.
I think the top 3 hardest languages are, I think it's like Chinese, Japanese, and Polish.
And I can only imagine like Polish letters, there are a lot of them and their words are not short. The cue cards must have been massive in order to fit all of those. I mean, to write it phonetically, right? I mean, which kind of would probably make it even big, longer. Yeah. That's
just impressive.
I mean,
but I will say too, like we talked about the facial expressions of Zelda, throw Janusz in there.
Oh
and
my God.
It was comedic gold. Like the
I really felt we had great chemistry.
You did.
Like it was
definitely.
Just perfect casting. I really do feel like it was like perfect casting. And he's a great guy as himself, as an aside. Like we totally got along.
Yeah.
He's a really, really very friendly, very super nice, like down to earth guy.
That's awesome. That was such a good addition to this season.
It really was.
Perfect.
Yep. Yep. If I could have made like a season 5 wish list, it would have been like give Zelda a man and make him hilarious. And they delivered. Like it was seriously, my Zelda dreams came true when he came on the screen. I was like, yes.
So did mine.
Much yes. Yeah, right.
I was just like, yes. This is a fantastic storyline.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, you guys are perfect together. Alexander, man, hats off to you, my friend. Damn fine job you've done. Man.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
so we have another question for you from Liz Todd. She wanted to ask which cast member that you most enjoyed visiting the craft table with and why.
Oh, such a good question.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that would have to be Maren.
I knew it.
Yes. Yeah. We really. She's so nice. She's so sweet. Oh my goodness. She's
Maren
just
is
such
kind
a
of my
lovely
favorite.
human being.
Kind of just
She's
a little
so
bit
wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely hit it off. We became friends, and she's just such a wonderful lady and wonderful person. And yeah, we would, sneak out, and I shouldn't say sneak out, but like when they were like turning the camera around, and we'd go over to Crafty, and we would do that, sweet and salty. Usually, like we'd get, our favorite was Pringles and Doritos,
Yes.
and then we'd
Nice.
put it like a cup of, like a paper cup of those like little Hershey's Kisses, not Kisses, sorry, those like miniature, those like mini baby chocolate bars, like the
Oh,
special
yeah.
dark,
Yeah.
and then we would like bring that back to where we were set up in the house. Like one of the rooms in the house was always where the cast chairs were.
Right.
Okay.
Like wherever we weren't filming.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Like your green room.
I love that. Of
Exactly,
course,
our green
like-
room, but it was like on set though.
Right.
Like it was just in a room that we weren't using that day.
Oh man,
It's so nice to think about you and Marin having this like lovely friendship with the Zelda and Rose having such an interesting relationship. It just makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's just lovely. And I'm gonna share a story with you. And I shared the story. I just shared it on Kevin Pollak's podcast, and I've shared it before, but I'm going to share it again because it's just such a wonderful story.
What you're going to say, and when I heard it, I was like, "That is my Marin." She's so lovely. You tell it. Go for it.
So it was the pilot. So we were shooting the pilot, and for those of you who don't know, it was shot in a real apartment here in New York City on like 112th and Riverside Drive, like at someone's real apartment. And so, so much of their furniture was just all stuck into the kitchen because we weren't shooting in the kitchen, at least that day. So there's just like all this stuff. So there's no room for us to actually stand in the kitchen except like right in the door frame. And both me and Marin we're coming out of the kitchen on our cue to walk into the hallway. So we were just really back to back, like really just our bodies were up against each other. And I was standing in front of her because I was the one who was Zelda was supposed to walk in first. And I was so nervous. And I took this like really deep breath to try to calm myself down. Because this is the very first scene. This is the pilot, and I was just like, oh my God, I hope I don't mess up. And she felt me take that breath. Like she could tell I was nervous, and she put her hand on my back and started rubbing it and said into my ear, she leaned in and whispered into my ear, "Don't worry, you'll be great. You'll be fantastic." And it was just such a wonderful, generous moment, not just as an actor, but also as a human being.
Yeah.
That moment was just so beautiful. And I was like, wow, that is just so lovely of her to have done that.
It really
That's
is.
sweet.
Because sometimes that's all you need as an actor is like just one other person to believe in you in that moment. Because it's kind of a make it or break it thing. Like you all want this to go forward. You all want this to go ahead. It's like a magical opportunity. And when it comes down to your part and you're just thinking, I don't want to blow it. I don't want to blow it. I don't want to be the one who blows it. And for her to catch on to that, it's just...
It was just a beautiful moment. Like I said, it was just, the pilot, and it was my very first, scene after being cast. And it was, And then, and then our relationship just continued on and got better and better. Like, we got closer as the years went on, and she's just a wonderful person. She really is. Obviously a fantastic actress as well, I should mention. She's absolutely fantastic. I loved working with her. But even like I said, even just like as a person, she's just really lovely.
And Kevin has said, I've heard him say in interviews that like someone asked who gets the most nervous or something like along those lines. And he said, well, I think that Marin is the hardest on herself. Like she's always the one who puts like a lot of pressure on herself. So it's like she could sense that someone else was having like a moment of doubt or like a moment of nervousness.
Makes
and
sense.
She just was like, I know exactly what that's like. And, reached out in that moment. So I love Marin Hinkle. I love her so much.
Oh, she's wonderful.
And it jumps off the screen that you guys are good friends,
The scenes with Rose and Zelda and Abe, I almost said Tony, but Zelda and Abe, that was some of the best, I don't know, like just it was so palpable how much they valued Zelda and how much you all clicked even off screen. And that kind of leads into our next question. There were a couple people, Rochelle Atienza and Sabrina, is it Mikan?
Yeah, Mikan.
One of those. Mikan. Both asked, what was it like working with Tony Shalhoub?
Tony!
We
Oh
love
my God.
Tony.
Tony Shalhoub is seriously a national treasure.
Treasure.
Legit. Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, we had such a great rapport just on and off camera. He's just such a wonderful person. He's such a great guy. And yeah, we just had the best chemistry, like I said, on and off camera. And I just love, I'll just say, and I say this in like every single interview, I love how Amy already established from the pilot the love/nemesis relationship between Abe and Zelda. And it just continued on like throughout, like the through line throughout all the seasons. And I just think that's fantastic. And yeah, I mean, seriously, like watching Tony work, I felt like I was in a masterclass in comedy every day. It was just amazing. And I should also add, I mean, everyone's obviously wonderful, but, Tony and I'll say, Kevin, obviously as well, it really was just like a masterclass in comedy. And, they're all just so supportive and also very, like I said before, everyone's collaborative, so there was, he might give a tip saying, oh, I was, thinking maybe, if you try this, it might be, a little bit funnier. And again, I'm not about it wasn't about actors directing other actors because I'm against that, but it wasn't about that. It was, again, this environment where there is all this collaboration going on and we all helped each other. It was like this big support group, or it's like, and even if someone was, couldn't get, their lines, they kept messing up their lines, everyone was just like, and including, Amy is like, don't worry about it. We'll just do it again. Don't worry about it.
Fantastic.
Like there was no yelling. There was no screaming. There was no anger. There was no stress. Like it was all the stress would always just come from the actors themselves being, like you mentioned, hard on yourself. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't worry about it. Don't even say sorry. Let's just do it again.
Yep.
That just sounds like such a conducive environment for creativity. Like
absolutely.
And comedy.
Comfortable. Yes. Like if you're comfortable enough and you know that everybody's got this mutual respect, like it's magical on this show. And I will say that word over and over again. Like there was something magic happening on that set, it seems like. And
dare I say marvelous?
Marvelous.
Yeah. And I think, Alex Borstein said this before in interviews. I think the phrase that she used, I mean, I was using magic in a bottle before, but I think the correct phrase is lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lightning in a bottle, where it's like this show was just so special. And we all knew it. We all knew it. Everybody, cast and crew alike. And we
this is not normal.
It's not normal. This is not normal.
Yeah.
It was magical. It really was magical.
That's why we need a spinoff or a movie.
Exactly.
I know. Seriously, if like the world's collective willpower could will a spinoff into existence, it would exist already. I swear. I mean, we're all wanting it. I'm sure you guys are too. I've heard every actor say like, "Hey, spinoff, reboot, movie, like trilogy. I'm in." Like everyone's in because you guys love working together.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it was hands down the best job I've ever had. It was fantastic. And, and back to Tony, I just want to say really quick that I feel like in general, overall, a lot of my favorite moments on the show was working with Tony, like having those moments like Abe and Zelda.
Yeah.
And there were so many times where, going back to that other question about breaking character, there's so many times where like Tony and I would be looking at each other, like saying our lines, and I could see in his eyes, like he was like trying so hard not to break. And I was trying so hard not to break. And he saw me trying not to break, like it was just, Oh, so much fun.
It's
It was
that's the
just
best.
so much fun.
When all it
And
takes is like looking at one another and
Yeah.
it makes you know exactly what the other person's thinking. Like there are some people like that in the world, you know, where you just have to give them a look, and you guys are like, don't make me laugh.
No, we just had such a great rapport with each other. And, you know, I have to say, like growing up, I watched the, you know, Carol Burnett show, and I love that show.
Yes.
As obviously a lot of people did. And
Mm-hmm.
they broke, you know, they broke all the time,
Mhm.
you know, in characters, because they just thought that, you know, what they were doing and saying was just like so funny. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, God, that looks like the best job
Really?
ever. And I feel like I'm so lucky because I was able to experience that by being on Maisel and working with such wonderful people and having such a, you know, fun and funny environment to be in.
I can imagine. It's like, pinch me. Is this my job?
Right. Exactly.
Oh, I love how appreciative you guys are of it too, because every actor has said it on any interview I've heard. It never is unsaid. There, you guys are always like, this isn't probably never going to happen again, and I'm aware of it, and for that reason, we all savored every
Right.
you
And
know,
that's
every
also why
moment.
we're also, you know, extra upset that, you know, we went, you know, five seasons versus more.
Yeah.
You know, obviously 5 seasons is nothing to sneeze at. I am, and I know all of us are very grateful for the 5 seasons, you know, especially for streaming. Usually you get like 2 or 3,
Right.
you know, so 5 is a lot, but, you know, but because it, you know, it's so special across the board, you know, we didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
We just wanted to have the magic keep going.
Well, I mean, our podcast is doing its part. We're all, you know, we're just going to keep that Maisel love going. We're not going to shut up about it. It's not going away. So hopefully, with all of the noise that we're making over here and our listeners, you know, I mean, we're just going to write some strongly worded letters to Amazon
Please do.
and be like, you know, you guys,
want more.
I've had enough of the superhero nonsense. Please bring back Maisel.
Seriously.
You know, or else I will
need
cancel
it.
my subscription.
Yes.
Damn it.
Zelda is a hero in her own right.
Yes.
For real.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of superhero I'm interested in. Give me that comic book.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be great too.
I don't know, Karen, you and I just had this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can that
That would
exist,
be
please?
Fantastic.
Yes.
Who is it? Austin. Austin talked about he has a comic book that this is fantastic. That should be an interesting thought to put out in the universe. I would
Yes.
love
And
a
since
Zelda
Matilda is an artist
book.
and a writer, she could do that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so in on this. I will fund this project.
Zelda, the comic book hero.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that'd be
You know,
fantastic. A good way for people to learn Polish too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You guys remember those Amelia Bedelia books?
Mm-hmm.
Like that housekeeper that would like come in, you know, kind of shit like a Mary Poppins-y kind of.
Yeah.
I'm feeling Zelda for this.
Yeah,
I
but
think
Zelda's more
we're onto
sassier
something.
and will
Oh, yeah.
tell you how it is.
Oh yeah.
She won't sing a song.
Yeah, but instead of an umbrella though, like Mary Poppins had, I would have a pin roller.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or your
A
ladle.
rolling pin. My rolling pin.
Yeah.
Her
She
magical.
can whip out those pierogi in no time.
You know, she'll
Oh my
kill the
gosh.
superhero with some borscht, you know, it's like
You guys,
Love it.
I
That
think
makes me
I think we're
happy.
onto something here. It's gold. It's gold. Okay, so there were a couple of things about all the Polish of it all, and so before we get into our listener questions about this, I just want to play you guys a couple of things. One moment.
She's been brained by a baton a few times.
Should I get that? Would you?
No, screw it! I told you.
Okay, so what'd you say there?
Oh, that's actually a pretty bad Polish.
You can say it. We are an explicit podcast. You can say
It's
it.
true.
I mean, I guess the equivalent would be just like, fuck this, you know,
That's
like
funny.
something along those lines. Like it was, yeah.
Okay.
No, like direct. There's not like no real like direct
Right.
translation, but it's like it's bad. You know, and a lot of the Polish swear words that I say, a lot of it's like the same, and it's a lot of the stuff that my mom would say, my grandma would say, and it was good. It was specific for the time period for Zelda too, and that's cholera, and the whole phrase is cholera jasna, And that really just
Really
means
good.
like, damn it, like, damn.
Right.
So, not really like bad, bad swear word.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, because this speaks volumes. So cholera, I'm going to spell it CHOLERA. So what does that spell?
Cholera.
Cholera.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly. And that's literally like
Get some
what
cholera.
the Polish, that's what cholera. So it would be
Oh my
like,
gosh.
if all of a sudden COVID, people start saying COVID, like as
Oh
a
my
swear word,
gosh.
That
so
seems
speaks,
appropriate, though. Like,
right. But I'm
I
just
can
saying
get
it speaks
behind
volumes,
that.
like the fact that,
Yeah.
my God, that's like
Oh.
they had, the cholera was so bad,
Yeah.
Wow.
whatever, hundreds of years ago, that's like, it became a swear word
Swear
in the
word.
Polish
That's
language,
so interesting.
And I wouldn't,
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
I would not be
Oh.
surprised if COVID became that for us. Okay, here's this one.
Say, not now, Zelda.
No kurczę blade, to jest do dupy.
That was the first time Zelda ever spoke Polish, right? That's the Yom Kippur dinner.
Yeah, that wasn't the first Polish that, like, it was earlier in the scene. But yes, that episode is
Right.
the first time that I spoke Polish, and I'm basically yelling at my minions and everything like that. And kurczę blade is something also that my mom would say. And it's the same thing, like, kind of means like, damn it. Again, it's not like really like that bad, but there really, again, is like no like direct translation. It's about like, you're kind of saying like the blood of the chicken almost. Chicken. Like there's no, like that's what I'm saying, it's like lost in translation, but it just kind of means like, damn it. And to jest do dupy literally means, I'll tell, the literal translation is like, this is for the butt. Like this is like dupa means like ass, like it's like, so like to jest do dupy is like, this is just like, this is, just like for the ass.
This is the shit.
But no, this is the shit in English means good. That's a positive thing. This is the shit means it's a good thing. No, this is not what this is
like
not what it means
bullshit.
in Polish.
Shit or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah,
Or pain in the
exactly.
ass or something.
Like
Man.
yeah, exactly. But it's even more than that. I guess you could say pain in the ass is probably the closest.
But it's not as severe.
But it's like a little bit even more than that.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the fact that, this is just so stupid that it's just like, it's just, it's for the ass.
Yeah.
So I don't know how else to say it.
That's funny.
That clip just reminded me of, I know what my favorite Zelda moment is. It's the when you come in and because Midge keeps saying, no, not now, Zelda, not now, not, and you're trying to bring the dinner in, and you're like, I spend all of my day cooking this meal, and it's just sitting there turning to nothing. The way that you said that, I fucking died the first time I saw that, because that was pretty early on in the show. That was first season, right? No, second season.
That was,
when does Midge come out?
second. I think that's the second.
I think it's the second season too. Yeah. And that I remember like the first time I watched it with my mama, we loved watching the show together, and we both just like had to pause it because we laughed so hard. We love the way that you deliver those like zingers.
I was just happy that Zelda spoke her mind and told
Yes.
Midge.
Yeah.
It's like somebody
just-
has to every now and then.
It was just so unexpected out of nowhere, that Zelda just blows up like that, because she had never done that before at that
Well
point
deserved.
in the show. Yeah. Just sitting there turning to nothing. Oh, I love imitating you, Matilda. It's like my favorite thing. I do it on the podcast all the time.
Wonderful.
You make
What
it look
would
so
Zelda
fun.
do?
You make it look so fun. Okay, so
It was fun.
about the Polishness, Melanie Brown, one of our listeners, says, I am part Polish and I grew up speaking to my grandma. My grandma spoke it mostly when angry, and I suspect it was a great many curse words that she didn't want young Melanie to hear. Is she fluent in Polish? Yes, she is. And she says, thank you, Matilda, for speaking it so well. It brought me memories of my grandma. And also, she wants to know what your dream for Zelda is ultimately. How do you hope she spent her retirement years?
I love that.
So that was the question I was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I already answered that. Well, first of all, I think she would take a vacation. Maybe go on a honeymoon with Janusz somewhere.
She deserves it.
But I think, yes, she does. But I think she would end up, like I mentioned, I really do think that she would end up running a Polish restaurant in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
And Janusz would
or
just-
the other. Wait, what? I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say Janusz is just going to upkeep and make sure the facility is working. I could see that. I could totally see
I could
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Or we buy something that, needs to be like, it's a fixer upper and like he totally fixes it up, or the other option is and again, this was not in the script or anything like that. But like, I think because he's always, on Maisel that he was always like fixing stuff. So I think that Janusz probably has his own like contracting business with, which a lot of Polish guys do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they still do. And so, maybe Zelda becomes his like receptionist in his contracting business. So that might be another option too.
Yes.
About what she does.
I would love both of those.
What was it that you said about Janusz, that he always hangs pictures perfectly straight? And like he doesn't need to measure. There's no not measuring anything. Like I can't remember what
that
it was.
is a valuable skill. I would love that.
He does. I love that Zelda.
I just love.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I love that Amy, like, they all. Well, Isaac also, wrote the script, but it was just so specific.
Yeah.
That like Zelda's practicality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zelda's perfect man.
Exactly.
Going.
Somebody who is so good at this. Yeah, I love it.
And that's what part of that scene that made it so touching is because we all know what that's like to have our significant other, and like those little silly, stupid things that no one else appreciates are what makes us just like turned on for them, and like those hanging those pictures perfectly straight. Like she just really does it for Zelda. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I was just going to say that, I think that, that moment, at least, I really do feel that that was Amy. I do feel like that one moment is definitely Amy in that script. She did share with us a table read many years ago. It wasn't recent. It was like earlier on, where I think it was Amy and Dan's anniversary that day for one of the table reads. And we're like, oh, congratulations. And she has said the story that that he had come over when they were dating. Like he had come over one day and said something about her, like extension cords or outlet or something. And he's just like, oh, you need XYZ. And like the next time he came over, he brought over the appropriate extension cord that she needed. Aww. And she's like, she goes, I knew it was true love right then.
Oh,
and it's true. Great. The thing is, it's true. It's so true. When things like that happen, I mean, I'll tell you, like my, a handful of years ago, my boyfriend, I didn't ask him to do this. He bought and brought over a laundry drying rack for my apartment because I was like hanging, because there's a lot of stuff that you girls know, there's a lot of stuff that you don't want to put in the dryer, like certain shirts and stuff like that, because they'll shrink. So, so I was hanging up all this stuff, like under my radiator, on wherever I could, like on the end of chairs and stuff. And, he came over, he saw that. And then next time he brought, over this like drying rack. And then same thing. I remember I was like, that's something.
Very thoughtful.
That's nice.
Love that.
Gosh.
I love it.
I love that so much. And so you mentioned at the table read, you mentioned Amy talking about the table read, and I loved listening to you talk with Kevin about how, lavish and just kind of decadent the catering was and how much detail there was. Could you elaborate at all? Like, what was your maybe favorite touch for a certain episode?
The table reads?
Yeah.
Yes.
They were outstanding. I mean, you're just, again, it's not normal. It's not normal to have.
You guys, I heard you mention an ice sculpture. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I need to know more about this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was like ice sculptures. There was just for the the first episode of season 5. The whole room was set up like as a TWA terminal. Like there's a big,
awesome,
a big board that was like the departure board, and there was all this like retro luggage everywhere in the room.
Oh my God.
And our nameplates, and I'm saying plates, but they were, paper, cardboard, for each seat, like, where we're supposed to sit. That also was like the departure board, like the retro one where it's just like so the white letters on the black squares, and they used to flip.
I think we even saw that in
So
the
cool.
airport episode when Midge and
Yeah.
Right,
and Abe and
yeah.
Rose were in the airport. Yeah,
Um,
that's so cool.
yeah, so it's like it's just it's
that's
absolutely
probably
amazing.
what they
So-
used, guys. Like they had the prop. Duh. I'm just thinking about this
Yeah.
now.
Oh no. So no, I mean, it was like
Inspired by it.
inspired by exactly.
Oh, okay.
But it's like for episode 2 for this season, for example, I think it was 2. Our nameplates had the 60 Minutes logo, and it was on a stand with like a mini
is
TV. Like the
awesome.
mini TV was like
So
made out
cool.
of wood,
Wow.
like an old, like the old fashioned TVs, and it was
Jeez.
just the detail is just like really just crazy. And like and in another season, I can't remember which one, they had real old fashioned TV cameras like in the room,
Oh my
like
god.
actual,
gosh.
like actual. I think it said, I can't remember if it said RCA. I don't know, but it was like real, like these old retro cameras that they would use at like the Tonight
So
Show and stuff like
cool.
that.
Well, and I think I
and, like,
remember
for the-
seeing on your Instagram like really, really detailed sugar cookies.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
the cookies. Oh my God. So each table read, so these cookies would be designed for one of the themes of that episode. And they were made by Elizabeth Mazurko, and she owns the Circle Bake Shop, and she made them herself.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like, so they were just like exquisite. They're like exquisitely painted and all in detail and everything. And they also tasted very good.
I love how everything, like even down to the food at your table reads, was so well thought out and detailed. That
Yes.
is
And
just
that
cool.
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it was for the Coney Island table read, the Coney Island episode. They had all the retro candies, like all the retro
Gosh.
candies, I can't even think any off the top of my head, like the Sugar Daddies,
Yeah, yeah.
like all
Mary
like, a whole
Jane's,
bunch
yeah.
of the old stuff,
Like the
literally from
Razzles
like
or
the 50s and
whatever.
Like Necco wafers.
Yeah, Necco wafers.
Uh-huh.
Those are good.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely hysterical because like all, we're all adults and we're like all of a sudden
You're
like
like,
kids, oh my God. Everyone's like, stuffing their bags with all this candy to bring home.
so
and
cute.
So it was really, really great. And like the final table read was actually, it was super, super, super special. We all sobbed, of course, there's still a lot of tears at the end. But they really went all out for the very last table read. Like they had Katz's Deli cater it.
Oh, nice.
And they had like a real bar
Very
with bartenders. Yeah, it was very, very nice. And they had
Wow.
2 drinks. They had they had the Midge, which was like a vodka based drink, and then the Susie, which was like a bourbon based drink.
That's so
So
great.
cute.
Yeah, and then at one point they took us out on this veranda. So we shot a lot of the stuff at Steiner Studios out in Brooklyn, and we did the table reads. I think it was stage 6 on the 4th floor, and there is like some kind of this like huge veranda, an outdoor veranda that you can walk out onto. And so they didn't tell us anything. They just kind of was like corralling everyone out. Everyone just go outside, and it was in the evening. And I will say that our table reads were always during the day because it was like a work day. You're going to work, and a lot of times the table reads would be during a production day. So they would like do maybe a table read during like the lunch hour kind of thing. But anyway, so they specifically did the final table read in the evening.
Oh,
We all walk. So it's nighttime, we walk outside and there's this huge fireworks display starts over the river. You're looking out of Manhattan because we're in Brooklyn. And it was for us. They like all these like pink, there are all these like pink fireworks and everything. And it was just this beautiful, beautiful display. And that's what I'm saying. Like talk about like going all out. Like
That is
they really,
wild.
they there was no, no holds barred, they put out all the stops, however that phrase is. Always across the board. Like it was just
I remember reading
amazing.
how special everything was and how special
Yes.
you guys were. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I love that.
Love it.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question.
Sorry. That's my watch.
Siri.
Siri's trying to get involved.
Hey, Siri, what up? Tell me all
Siri
about it.
hears everything. Be careful what you say.
I know.
That's true.
For real. Okay, so our next question from Sabrina Meekin says, "How does the costume and set design set the stage for the role, getting into character? I bet it helped transform and transport you to the era and more." And you kind of talked already about the costumes and everything, but I was thinking about the set design and how you have touched on it a couple of times. And yeah, just going back to like what we said about everyone really loving their job. Every aspect of this show is so intricately detailed, and there's so much love that goes into it. I just wanted to hear you talk a little bit about like the set, what it was like to be on those sets, and the detail that goes into it.
Well, it's just amazing. I will quickly just say about the costume, because most of the time I did wear the Zelda uniform, and it definitely helped for sure. You know, it took me 2 hours to go through hair and makeup, first of all. That is all my hair. And, you know, once you put on those layers, and I have to emphasize layers because they, again, are so detailed with everything. Like even my bra was vintage. Wow. I'm not kidding you. Like all the aspects about it. The only thing was my regular underwear. That's the only thing of mine that was not retro. And there were so many layers, like, and oh my God, I can't even imagine living in that time period, being a woman, you know.
That's what Caroline Aaron has said it a lot. She like did not enjoy the undergarments.
Well, you have these girdles and these corsets and just these layers and a slip and then the pantyhose. Like it's a lot. And it was a lot to go to the bathroom. Like seriously, like if you had to pee, like you'd have to like really
get completely undressed.
But you would also have to hold it for when they, you know, turn the camera around. So that takes, you know, and then they change the lighting and everything. Right. So that takes a lot more time for them to do that versus in between takes, which is like really fast. Right. So it's like, if you really had to go to the bathroom, you definitely, unless it was emergency. Right.
Yeah.
But then you really had to hold it. And then when they're just like, okay, you know, it's turning around, you guys have a little bit of time. It's just like half of us would just like race to the bathroom because it seriously takes like 20 30 minutes, you know, to take off those layers, you know, and go to the bathroom and then put it back on kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is, once I had all of the costume on, all of that on, and especially the hair and makeup too, all of a sudden I was in space as Zelda. I started, you know, standing like her, walking like her, because it's hard not to once you already have, you know, all that on you. So that, you know, that's definitely very helpful. And I've done a ton of period pieces, especially in theater. And I've always appreciated that. I've always appreciated putting on a vintage outfit because at least for me, like it definitely helps get into that moment and into the character. And the set, especially, I'm going to tell you. So originally I mentioned the pilot was done in someone's actual apartment. And then when it was picked up, they built, and I'm not kidding you, that entire apartment to every single detail. And I mean to the inch. When we walked onto that set at Steiner, I swear to you, we all said the same thing. If you would have told us we're all of a sudden on 112th and Broadway in that apartment, we would have believed you.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. So even though we're working on a sound stage, the apartment that they built was an actual apartment. So once you're in it, it's like you're just in an apartment and it could be anywhere. You know what I mean? So it was so engulfing and just so fantastic to be in that environment.
Yeah, I can imagine that would help being in such an immersive set to really just make it even more natural than it already is, to fall into, you know, the 1950s, 1960s. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, the set was, absolutely. The set was absolutely incredible. The production values, all the detail. Again, I just like, it keeps using the word detail, but and love, you said that's a great word to use too. The love that was put into everything by everyone.
Yeah, it shows. It's one of those things where when you love your job, you want to keep working on it. It doesn't feel like work. So it almost seems like the costume and set designers went like up above and beyond. Like they could have done less work and gotten paid fine, but they wanted to do more work because they were just enjoying it's like everyone who works on the show, it seems, after hearing about people talk about it, it seems like everyone just wanted to keep it lasting, like wanted to make it last, just wanted to continue working on it. So they did more than was required almost,
Yeah, everyone had wanted for it to be like really, really good. And, even, a lot of times the Amazon execs, I shouldn't say a lot, but it's like the Amazon execs would show up, for our table reads, like, pre-pandemic and then this last season too. Even Jennifer Salke was there, and a bunch of other Amazon execs. And during the pandemic, they'd be on Zoom, so, and then sometimes we would have the other actors who live in LA. They would be on Zoom as well, like during the table reads. Again, this was like, during the height of the pandemic when we were trying to do season 4. So, that was a little bit different too. And same thing for the food that you were mentioning for the table reads and stuff like that. That kind of went away for again, safety reasons. So it's like we would have, for example, we could take away box lunches and like drinks with us when we left. So we, they're still feeding us, but again, it was just for, safety concerns. Right at the beginning, because they were very, very good. I'm going to say that again. They were excellent. Like we tested every single day, and we not once did we ever shut down production for COVID.
That's
ever.
Right.
That's great.
And we only shut down for 2 days, and it was because of snow, because there was a blizzard, and so we shut down for 2 days for season 4 because of snow, and it was never for COVID.
Yeah,
that's impressive. They took good care of you.
Impressive.
It is impressive because you heard all these other productions shutting down. Because, someone tested positive, and then, especially 2021, obviously, everything was like we started pre-vaccination, like vaccinations didn't even exist yet. Wow. And if they did, it was only for like 65 and older, you know what I mean? So it's like, we did a lot of filming, 2021, before the vaccinations. And it was, I think, very, very impressive. And I'm very thankful to Amazon and the whole production team for looking into our safety as well. And I know they're looking at the bottom line as well, because obviously they don't want to shut down production because then, production shuts down, then they're losing money. They're losing a lot of money too. So
a lot of care going into it. You could tell.
Yeah.
You can tell. Well, so we had another question from our listener, Debbie, and she wanted to know, were you able to take any souvenirs home? We know there was so much care that went into the set and the design, everything. Did you get to take something from Zelda's kitchen?
Oh my God, we're all like kind of stealing stuff. Out of there. Well, I shouldn't say stealing. Like it wasn't like an announcement saying, you guys can take whatever you want, but at the same time, they kind of look the other way. So, but I did ask before I took the following, and it was totally fine. But there were, these 3, white tin canisters, on the counter in the kitchen that were always there. And it was the kind that they're like stacking dolls, like they go into each other, like the Matryoshka dolls. And I just took the smallest one. So it's like this small, white tin with like these beautiful painted, flowers on it. So I have that on a shelf in my kitchen.
It's a beautiful keepsake.
That's nice.
I know. And they're like, that was vintage? It was.
Oh, that's definitely vintage. Cause I took off the top and looked inside and it's all rusted inside. Like you can't use it. I can't use it, but it's clearly vintage. Absolutely. Clearly vintage. They use a lot of like real stuff, like real vintage stuff. And in terms of like the detail, cause we're talking about the kitchen, I'm going to give you an example of the detail of the set design. So there was always like a stack of mail, like in that little alcove of the kitchen. And you don't see it on camera. I'm pretty sure, like you could see like there's stacks of papers and you can maybe tell that it's mail, but every single envelope was specifically like they had their name on it. They had the address. They had, some kind of like retro company logo or
Oh my
company
gosh.
that it was
So
the letter
cool.
was from. But I mean, seriously, like one was, for Midge, one was like to Abe, one was like to, Mr. and Mrs. Maisel. Like it was, the detail is astounding. Like seriously, the detail was astounding.
Yeah, like it just seems like everyone had you have to believe that they had fun working on that kind of stuff, because I know some people who are into vintage fashion, aspiring like costume designers themselves, because I live in New York and everyone I know is in the industry, and people always say they love watching this show because catching the little details, like from a person with a costume designer eye, they have such fun watching the show and catching all the little things in the background, because it's so period on point accurate, and just stuff like that. You were saying, like making the letters look with the vintage postmarks and everything. It's just like they must have really loved doing it.
It's the detail was just like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And again, like it's like we always use real food. Everything was real.
Yeah.
Everything was real.
Wow.
And that's not normal. That's like not usually, when I've been on set, it's like the cheapest bottom barrel, just whatever's going to be the most acceptable on camera. It's going to be seen quickly, throw it whatever we can get in there. But yeah, you're saying that all this stuff is like authentic. So
yeah,
not normal.
Everything was real. Everything was real. All the food was like very, high end and real. And I feel like, going back to one of the previous questions in terms of like what do actors bring to the character? Stuff like, I missed some mannerisms before, but like actions. A lot of actions are not
scripted
in the script.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are, because it depends if it's like part of the actual story, like if, if the character has to do XYZ, or like, for example, for Zelda, it would say in the script, she's in the kitchen cooking XYZ, or she's at the stove making soup, but that's it. It doesn't say the step by step what
Right.
I do. So that falls onto the actor, about, and again, that for me, that's like, first of all, I do personally cook. I love to cook, in like my background in, in the service industry, so I would be at the stove as Zelda, and then all that action was me, like I'm going to now stir the soup. I'm going to put like some salt in here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and, so that, and then you have to time it out for yourself. And everyone, again, that goes back to also the choreography and stuff like that. You have to time out like what you're, is this going to work? And there was a lot of rehearsal too. People should know there's definitely a lot of rehearsal before we even like put the camera on.
Well, there would have to be, because you were saying that it's like a dance, it's like choreography, because the camera is so specific and fast, right? I imagine.
Precise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. And Amy was always just like, pace it up. It's it's all about pacing. Right. It really was. Wow. It was all about the pacing. And like you said, it was like that musicality.
Yeah.
It's like you have to know when to pause, when to go, and then it's like the the fast dialogue and finishing each other's sentences and stuff like that in moments. The comic timing, and stuff like that. It was great. And, a lot of us, have a theater background, and that's what, we were all saying when we started working on Maisel, especially because of all those oneers, it's as though we were on stage.
Yes.
It's as though we were in a play on stage, because the camera's just following us around, or the camera's set far back just to get all of the, all the action. Right. And again, it's like, so it's as though you're on stage.
Yeah.
It felt
for those
very theatrical. Like, we said that on multiple episodes, just how it felt like a play, or it felt like a musical without words. Like, it was so theatrical, and all three of us are giant theater nerds. So that was always appreciated. But I think that's another thing that it's like a perfect storm of circumstances with how, like, the lightning in the bottle aspect of this show. And I think the theater background that many of you had, on top of the aesthetic, production value that the Palladinos seemed to really nail, it was just, I I'm just gonna gush.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we did
It's okay. We were all gushing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so good.
This is what we did every podcast for like 3 hours. We just could not gush. And we would always
hard
say,
not to.
okay, guys, we're not going to gush. We're not going to gush this time. And like, there we go. You know, it's because it's a freaking love fest over here, man. We love you. Okay, so I have one more question and I'm going to play some stuff for you first. All right, here's one.
We have saying back home, never too early for a child to learn how to betty.
Let's just flush him and let his memory be a blessing.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, so that's one. And then, hold on.
I'm not hungry.
What do you mean you're not hungry?
He had some candy earlier.
He couldn't wait until dinner?
Oh, he's 4. That's little.
4-year-olds in my village worked. They made shoes, they herded sheep, they hid guns.
Young couple are scary. Go to your room. Lock the door.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
I love
Zelda is a badass and she clearly has, like you were talking about what you bring to the role as an actor. You bring, your backstory. You make Zelda happen, right? So I was hoping those clips would like spark some memory of like how did you prepare to say those kind of lines as Zelda? What did you imagine for her? How did she grow up? And like, I mean, not that I'm sure it was like you wrote a diary for Zelda or something, because a lot of it is your imagination works like overtime as an actor. So you don't have to write those things down. They just kind of, I'm sure, come to you in the moment, or like they come to you when you're preparing the night before. But yeah, if you could just talk a little bit about how you prepared to say those kinds of lines about Zelda's history and like where she grew up and like how, children in my country did this and like, I would always be like savage.
Guns.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just, again, that, based on my own family, it's like, well, that stereotype of the Eastern European, stoicism. It's like she's very stoic, and again, she's very practical. And it's like, yeah, when you grow up, in Eastern Europe, it's hardcore. It's definitely hardcore. I mean, I can tell you stories about my family, and it'll be like that'll be like a 10-hour podcast. About,
I'm here for
all
it.
all the crazy, all that crazy. But yeah, this is an exaggerated, jokey version of the fact that a lot of kids would grow up way too young. Look at what's going on in the Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
It's like my heart breaks for
Yeah.
those children right now. It's like it's the 21st century. This should not be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that's how my dad grew up. It's like all of my relatives were very the dry, the straight faced. It's like if you'd ask my mom or my uncle, how are you? And it's like their response would be like, I'm alive.
Oh,
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in like a dry way.
Yeah.
So I did pull from that, from what I know, my own family and stuff like that, about that, that dryness, that's, that stoicism. But yeah, it's like Amy was like, it's like right on about that. She hit the nail on the head in terms of, and it's like, but it's also the joke also too, like, even like Americans, for example, growing up during the Depression, and so you have like, you would have like the joke, the old, your grandfather said, when I was young, I would walk to school 10 miles one way without shoes, and then you're lucky if you had shoelaces or whatever, like that joke, so it's along the same lines, where it's like you're growing up with like not much and you kind of have to deal with that with what you have.
yeah.
You just sent me like unlocked a memory with my grandma. My grandma grew up during the Depression, and I remember, she lived with us. Gosh, I think I was 3 until she passed away a few years ago. But one of the things she would do would just like hoard any of the free condiments that we got, or like the sugar packets. And
oh yeah, that's my grandma.
Yeah, like it's just. And butter and sugar sandwiches were like a dessert.
Oh my
sometimes.
God,
like,
dude.
That was something that we had. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But thinking about it, especially, as I grew up and in school learning about the Great Depression, I was just like, no wonder, like that would shape that would stick with you forever, especially when you're going through that as a child. So I can't imagine, people coming from countries where there was wars going on or these great political movements. Like, I think it's great that they let that kind of sink into your character and lend even more authenticity to Zelda.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're right. She's a hard ass.
Yeah.
She's a tough cookie.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah, you get the sense that Zelda loves hard, but she takes no bullshit,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that's what I said before. Like, she takes no prisoners.
Yeah. Yeah.
She takes no prisoners.
Like, I want Zelda to take care of me, but I would not want to piss her off,
Right? Yeah, don't get on Zelda's bad side.
And one of those things is like that just reminded me of like how much Susie loves Zelda, because you really get the sense that Susie would appreciate that in a woman. And so she'd be like, Zelda makes the best goddamn sandwiches, and like Zelda can do no wrong. Like, I didn't.
Well, I'll tell you guys something. It's so funny that you brought that up. So, you kind of do catch a glimpse here and there about this like special relationship between Susie and Zelda.
Oh, we love it.
And what ended up in those episodes, like one point, I think Susie opens up the fridge and there's like a little love note from Zelda, saying sandwich for you or something, whatever it was.
Please to enjoy the sandwich.
Yeah. The bad English. And we had a bunch of scenes together that they ended up cutting out.
Oh,
yeah. I was so excited because that was the first time that it's like I was working directly with Alex, and I love her. Mm-hmm. And again, as a tangent, I'll say, so during the very first time, like we all met each other, and like we sat down, like it was like before one of the very first table reads. Again, the food, it was like brunch or something. It was like catered. It was very nice. And anyway, I was sitting next to her, like we're all sitting around. It was like a patio table. Like we weren't like sitting at the actual table read yet, right? We're just like all enjoying. It was like a wedding, all these like round tables out on the veranda and stuff like that. And Alex was sitting next to me and we were chatting and stuff. And the thought bubble over my head was, oh my God, it's Lois. Oh my God, it's Lois. It's Lois. Keep it cool, be chill. And I was like, just talking to her, like, oh, where are you from? She's like, oh, I'm actually from Chicago. But then, we moved to LA and everything. And she's like, I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. Nice. So I was like keeping it cool. But in my head, I was like, oh my God, it's Lois. Yeah, I'm just such a huge Family Guy fan,
Yes. That's so funny.
But anyway, so it, I think it must have been season 2. I don't think it was it was definitely season 2, because that's when they went to Paris. So the whole point was they go to Paris and Zelda and Susie have this like love affair, in the apartment where Zelda takes care of her. She like makes, there was a scene where I made her all this food and the entire kitchen table was filled with all this breakfast food, like pancakes and eggs and bacon and all this kind of stuff. And, there was a few scenes of us, and for whatever reason, they decided to cut all those scenes out. And the only thing they kept, was that, the love note on the sandwich, and again,
and you weren't even in the scene, darn it.
Right. Yeah.
Damn
but
it.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. It happens to all of us. And, I've learned from making my own, movies where it's like,
you gotta kill your darlings.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 versions to every story. The first one is the script. That's the first version. The second version is when you film it, because when you film it, the script does change because it depends on what you see can work and what doesn't work once you're actually on your feet. Right. And then the third version is the edit in post-production.
Yeah.
And that's when the final comes out. And, a lot of times, and I can't tell you why Amy decided to cut those scenes out. She probably thought that it was like stopping the story. And what she wanted to tell of the story is of this like love fest between Zelda and Susie. And she felt that moment with the love note and, on the sandwich was enough. Maybe that's what she thought.
It came through.
It came through exactly.
Yeah.
But, again, I can't speak what for her what she was exactly thinking in her head. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that was cut. A lot of it has to do with pacing. Again, about the rhythm. And they even like in one episode, I couldn't tell you which one. They cut an entire comedy routine of Rachel's out, like an entire Midge,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
comedy monologue. And,
Huh.
and again, it was about, and again, it's not about, like, as an actor, you have to tell yourself that it's not about the acting. It's not about you.
Yeah,
Don't take it
it's not
personally.
personal. Yeah.
It's not personal at
Yeah.
all. It's about what makes the story better.
Mm.
What makes the story better? Like, if I cut out the end of the scene, is it going to be better because the button on that scene will be better?
Right.
Maybe it will. Sometimes it
Yeah.
is.
Well, Matilda,
and overall,
you need to take personally the fact that we are all like really disappointed at hearing that these scenes got cut. Take that
Yeah.
personally. Because
Yes,
that's
Well, I mean,
personal.
I want to see them.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty upset. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, I can't believe those scenes were cut. I'm like, oh, what a bummer. One, though, I did get to work with Alex because they did film
Yeah.
it. So that was a very fun day, working with Alex. And
I can just picture that in my head so perfectly. Like Susie
know.
sitting at the table with breakfast foods galore.
Yeah.
Like I bet that
I know,
was
and then she was actually
fantastic.
eating it, and then she was like,
Ugh.
she had to eat every single take, and
Wow.
and then she's just like, oh my god, are we done yet?
Oh my
I can
gosh.
only eat so many pancakes. I can't keep eating these pancakes.
Oh my
That's so
god.
funny.
You
Hopefully
know,
it will resurface.
even though that the scenes got cut, though, the fact that you guys filmed them, it really feeds into what came later, because you remember when Susie was so devastated when Jackie passed, and Zelda was like a big part of helping her through that. And then there was that scene when you showed up with Midge in Susie's apartment, and I just remember you're like chipping at the ice, and you're like, well, the ice loses. We have to eat it all now. Like, there it is, But that, like, and the way that Susie was like, I made Zelda mad. I didn't know you could make Zelda mad. Like, she just appreciated Zelda so much. And like, I feel like all of that history that you guys had built, because those scenes were canon in your mind, they were part of your characters, and like they informed it so much. So it did pay off in ways, it paid off in your acting.
Yeah, like I said, it's subtly like things like that were in there where you can, if you were paying attention, you'd be like, oh, they have Zelda and Susie have like some special, this like closeness.
Yeah.
Oh, like, or another example would be in season 5 where Midge is like, who's this guy? Meaning Yamish, who's this random guy?
Oh yeah.
And Susie's like, you mean Zelda's boyfriend?
Yeah.
And Midge is like, what? And Susie says, how do you not know this? But she knows. She knows.
That stood out for sure. I was like, come on.
What did she say? Like, the guy who's here every day who is a boner for Zelda, you didn't notice him?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I loved Susie's little odd relationships with and with Rose. We all loved that one too. The whipped cream moment. Oh, classic.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's
I mean, I thought, just as an actor, I'll just say this randomly, but because of that, I just thought it odd that Susie wasn't at Zelda's wedding.
I agree.
It was in the pod. It was in the podcast. We were like, "Where the fuck is
talked
Susie?"
about that. Yeah. Like, this does not make sense.
Our
Susie would be
listeners too. Several people commented, "Where was Susie? Why was she not there? She should have been there." because she's the only one who really respected Zelda.
No, that's why, I thought the same thing where they had that, close relationship, and that was kind of like built in already, over a few seasons, subtly again, but, so I had to, for myself, I felt like I gave it like artistic license where, Susie was so busy with her business. She was just like, so not just busy with the business, but all that crazy stuff was going on with like, all of a sudden she has these few clients that she's trying to like juggle,
Yeah.
And including Midge too. Like, she was trying to get her on that, on the Gordon Ford show, but they wanted her other clients. And so for myself, I was just like, maybe she probably wanted to be here, but then she just got like caught up with whatever she was doing. Like, maybe that was when she was in that spa, whatever that scene was, where she was in that, the only woman in that men's spa or whatever,
funny.
So that for myself, I was just like,
make it make sense.
Yeah.
But I love that you felt the absence of your Susie as well, because we all did too.
I did. I really did. Because I was like, wait a minute, why? That's just so weird that, why isn't she here? Because she obviously was at the family dinners before too. She stayed at their house. You know what I mean? Like there definitely was that connection.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Matilda, we cannot keep you in good conscience. We cannot keep you on this call any longer, but goddamn, it is hard to say goodbye because I am enjoying the hell out of myself right now. This has been so great.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much again for having me. You guys are so great.
We appreciate you so much.
So much. Yeah, words don't come close to expressing how much joy I feel right now. This is so great.
Thank you.
Jade wants to go act her ass off now.
I do. After these interviews, I'm always like, now I just want to go audition really hard. Because I want to be on a special show like this too and have like my own little TV family. Yeah. I have actor jealousy for what you've experienced, but it helps knowing that you appreciate it. You guys all appreciate it so much, so it just makes me love you. I can't be jealous of you.
Oh, I'm so grateful. Seriously, like hands down, I'm just so thankful and grateful. I say that to, every single interview. I say that to everybody. I just feel so lucky. Seriously, so lucky to have been a part of the magic. Seriously, so much magic, and and it definitely doesn't hurt, when I look at my SAG actor trophy.
Oh, yes.
In my living room. Sometimes I go over and pet him.
Yes.
I think, we speak for all of our listeners when we say, one, congratulations on such a fantastic show and, time as Zelda. And we are definitely going to miss having Zelda on our screen. And we have to put it out into the universe that there will be something, a spinoff or a movie. But
fingers crossed.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I loved playing her so much. I just understood her so well. Like I know her,
Yeah.
Well, I think it brought a lot of people a lot of joy. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for talking with us. It was a blast hearing from you. So I'm going to start gushing again. I have to stop.
Yes.
I just have to.
Is there anything?
Thank you so much, guys.
Of course. Is there anything more that you want to say? The floor is yours. Anything else you want to tell the people, tell the listeners, aside from by cats speak Polish?
Yeah.
What is it? All cats speak Polish?
All cats. I was just gonna say, everybody go get your copy.
Yes.
All cats speak Polish.
Yeah,
it was my I call it my pandemic creativity. I had that idea for many years, and I finally had the time to do it in 2020. It's very fun. It's very cute. If you're a cat lover, you'll love it.
Yeah.
It's great for little kids too. And yeah, thank you in advance.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yes. The links will be in the description for all of Matilda's stuff. If you guys listeners, you definitely should check it out. And all I can say is thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Oh my gosh, that was fucking fun.
And I looked at the recording. I was looking at it like, I don't know. I checked it about 20 million times.
20 million times.
Yes. Yeah, it's there.
We got it.
It's there.
It's there.
I'm tearing up a little bit.
I know. And she's just wonderful. Like, yeah, now I just want to go rewatch the show all over again. This is going to happen every single time we talk about it or talk to somebody new from the show.
Yeah, now I just want to go act my butt off. But anyway, that was fabulous. My cheeks hurt from smiling. That's for darn sure. And listeners, thank you. Thank you for submitting your questions, for being a part of this interview, because you guys made it amazing. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. Oh God, there are no words. Like I'm all kerfuffled. It was so much fun. I could have listened to her tell us stories all damn day.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I really hope those cutscenes resurface someday.
Me too.
I'm sure if they released everything like on a box set or something and they had like, deleted scenes, like it's probably hours and hours and hours of brilliant content. It's
I
probably
would
nothing.
snap that up so quick. That would be great.
Hey, if they could do it for Twin Peaks, where they have the whole, like the missing pieces, they could do it for Maisel.
Right?
Put that out into the universe too.
Seriously. It'll happen. If I feel like if Dan and Amy have the opportunity to do more, they will. They always do. They always do. And that's why we fucking love them, because they know what their audience wants and they give it to us. Like we've talked about A Year in the Life being maybe not the greatest, but hey, I'll take it.
Listen, fan service is just, that's what it is. It's for the fans, and you know what?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. More is more.
It exists. Yes.
Yeah.
So don't miss out our next episode, which will be featured on our Patreon as a video. It's our long-awaited Only Murders in the Building Season 1 recap.
Woo-hoo!
Just go to patreon.com/Perfectly Marvelous Podcast.
Yes. Become a patron. When you become a patron, when you become a patron, you get access. Of our Patreon, yes. You get access to all of our podcasts ad-free, as well as our videos, as our listener feedback episodes as videos, and many special episodes like our Omit B recaps will also be videos featured on Patreon. And my shameless plug, my other podcast, Shall We Compare Thee? We have decided to release those episodes as videos on Patreon, complete with like graphics, all kinds of like, hilarious, fun moments, that extra things that you don't get to see if you're just listening. Yeah. Yes. And I feel like me as a podcaster, it's like almost frustrating sometimes because I'm so animated, I'm so, I do so much acting with my body and everything while I'm podcasting. And I do feel that like, it's better on video. I feel like I'm better on video. It's like just by way of being an actor. So yeah, if I do say so myself, it's an okay time. It's kind of fun. Might be a little bit of a hoot. So yes, when you go to Patreon and you sign up for our Tits Up tier, it is just $5 a month. And you get, all of our podcasts ad-free, video episodes, and you can become a member of our Patreon Facebook group where we talk about all kinds of special things that no one else gets to know. Ooh. So yes, listen.
I love it.
Listen to our Omit B Season 1 rewatch recap episode, which will be out very soon. And then send us your feedback on Season 1 of Only Murders in the Building. Yes.
And you can leave us that feedback by emailing us at perfectlymarvelouspodcast@gmail.com or on our Instagram at perfectlymarvelouscast. Or you can join our Only Perfectly Marvelous Murders in the Building group on Facebook. So all of these links are in the description of this podcast. And if you're a patron, you can also leave feedback in the patron-only group. I'm sure that's going to be fun.
Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies, I have had a marvelous time talking with you. Oh my God. Marvelous isn't even, we need a better word. We need more of a, there are no words. It was so good. And listeners, thank you. Thank you, my darlings, for joining us.
I'm Kara.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Jade.
Thank you and good night. Oh my gosh.
We did it. Zoom, don't fail me now.